Before I answer that, I'd say there's one more criteria for being successful in the investment business, and it involves not sleeping. If you work harder, if you worry more, if you're constantly looking for what can go wrong and avoiding it, you do better. So if you sleep less, you have more time to think about these things. Now with TPG, TPG has had a very interesting evolution. They have done deals in the private equity area that have more risk than we like, but they've also had some very, very major successes as a result of taking that risk. So it's a slightly different approach. David is, by his nature, extremely curious and is actually a very good visionary in terms of building things and trying things. And they've stayed pretty much in the private equity area with a lot of medium-sized, high-growth opportunities. At Blackstone, we're the broadest of everyone in the what's called the alternative investment area. So we do private equity. We have the largest real estate investing business in the world. We have we're the largest allocator of monies to hedge funds in the world. One of the largest leverage credit businesses. We have other types of specialty businesses buying secondary interests in private equity. So we have taken a different strategy, which is to do many things. So the more information we have, assuming it gets up and is evaluated, then the better you can make decisions, because you can see patterns across geographic areas, across asset classes, across different types of assets within that class. And when you have more and more information, if the people are equivalent talent, then you should do better, because you just see more and know more, not because you're smarter, but just because you have more access to information.
看这个，所以开车快和慢不仅仅是跟年纪有关，还跟个性有关。刚才你讲的就是说，来一个就是你刚才讲的就是企业家精神嘛，这个睡得少一点，想得多一点。这个，所以你70岁了，不好意思啊，把年纪说出来了这个。
Yes, but
所以我想，
but you can't get tired either. Getting tired is unacceptable. If you really get tired, you shouldn't be doing this kind of work, because you need a lot of drive, enthusiasm, curiosity, and flexibility, and that's something you can't control yourself. You're either like that or you're not.
所以这个真很难啊，又要很好的工作，又要不累，然后年纪会越来越大，所以你怎么做到的？
The way you manage it is you make pretend you're not getting older.
请问这个除了工作之外，有些什么 relax 的活动啊，或者有些什么这个爱好啊？
Well, I used to have more, but what happens is as I'm getting older, I find I thought I was working as hard as I could, but now I keep sleeping less and less and working just as hard. I have two things. Actually, I have three things I like doing besides different types of work. I like playing tennis. I saw John McEnroe last night. He said, "How's it going?" I said, "Not as well as it used to." I like to go shooting. It's a sport, where it's shooting for birds. I like things that are up in the air. I don't like on the ground. It seems like cruel when things are on the ground, but up in the air, they have a better fighting chance. I like that. And then I love sitting on the beach in my house in Florida or somewhere else in the world and just looking at the beauty of the endlessly changing water, the sun against clouds, and feeling the wind, and either talking on the phone when I'm doing that or reading something that's interesting. That feeling is wonderful. So those are the three things I do besides all the other things I do, which is a lot.
这个还是，所以本来我想跟你推荐一个运动啊，可以让你90岁的时候跟你现在看上去差不多，就是太极。真的这个运动非常好，我们私下再聊。我们聊一个别的东西。你在中国很有名的还有一个事情，就是说捐了清华大学1亿美元，建立了一个学院。能不能跟我们讲一下这个项目？然后我们还有机会去学吗？你知道这个中国现在企业家都很喜欢搞学校，马云搞了一个叫什么湖畔大学，我也是这个里面的什么创始之一。然后马化腾呢搞了一个清华班，他做班长，我做常务班长，反正做学生做老师我们都很喜欢。所以不知道在你这个项目里面，我们可以一起帮你做什么
？Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I actually was asked by Jack Ma to be a teacher with him for the first day of classes at his college, and he's a funny guy, Jack, and he said, "Okay, I'll teach 3 hours, then 15 minutes for tea, and then you teach for 2 hours." So I said, "What am I supposed to teach?" And he said, "You figure it out." And hardly anyone in the class could speak English, so I stood up for 2 hours and talked, and it was a very interesting experience. Now, that was the first day of classes for him. At Schwarzman College at Tsinghua University, it's much different. It's a lot like, it's got elements of similarity with the Rhodes Scholarship, which is we're attracting future leaders and sending them talks. What we're doing in Schwarzman Scholars is attracting people from around the world to come to China to develop into future leaders, as well as to learn about China. China is a country of remarkable fascination for people in the West, and they simply don't know how to access China and learn about it. And the reason that I wanted to start this school, which had 110 people the first year, and we'll have 129 the second year, 140 the third year, and we're going to get up to 200 students a year for 1 year getting a master's degree. But the reason for starting this is I could foresee 6 years ago, when this was an idea, that there would be something called populism politically in the West. And populism is when you're unhappy with somebody who's doing better than you are. And it became pretty clear to me that in the West they'd start running out of people to be angry at, and they'd eventually find China. And this is a professor at Harvard, Graham Allison, who studied for the last 500 years situations where you had incumbent world powers, which in this case is the United States, and challenger countries, which in this case would be China. And in 75% of the times that you had an incumbent challenger going to compete with the incumbent, you had wars between the incumbent and the challenger. And we had to do things to lower the tension levels, which I thought would arise. I had no idea those things would arise so quickly. And what we wanted to do was develop a group of really exceptional students from around the world to learn about China, experience it, meet famous people, meet regular people, and by doing that, be able to return to their own countries and be able to explain China to them. The kinds of students we're looking for aren't just students. We're trying to select them because they're natural leaders. And what we want them to do is be influencers and people who determine the way other people in their countries think about different things, including China. And if we do this right, we'll have 10,000 people like this around the world who will really know China, have friends in China, have mentors who are famous people in China, and they can, in effect, help interpret